Welcome back to another Explainer. Today we are taking a massive journey, one that stretches back way further than any written word. We're exploring the epic 3.3 million year saga of human ingenuity, a period that literally built the bodies and brains we're all walking around with today. We are talking about the Stone Age revolution and how our ancient ancestors completely transformed from vulnerable creatures on the African savanna into the dominant force shaping our entire planet.
So let's kick things off with a massive question to reframe basically everything you thought you knew about our ancient ancestors. When we think of history, we usually think of empires, towering cities, written records. But what if the absolute defining moments of who we are, our biology, our psychology, our very capacity to invent things, were entirely forged in the deep prehistoric past?
Think about it like this to really grasp the sheer scale of the Stone Age. If you took all of human history and compressed it into a single 24-hour clock, written history, agriculture, and literally every civilization you have ever read about would be squeezed into just the last few minutes before midnight. The Stone Age? Well, that spans the previous 23+ hours of that day. It is the absolute bedrock foundation of the human story.
Section 1. The deep Paleolithic roots. Let's completely shatter that old myth of the dumb caveman.
Zooming way out on our timeline, we can trace the incredible evolution of early stone tools. Starting way back with the Lomekwian tools from Kenya, dating to a staggering 3.3 million years ago. And this is a mind-blowing revolution because they predate our own Homo genius entirely. It means earlier hominins, our distant evolutionary cousins like Australopithecus, were already making tools. Then we jump to the older wand tools at 2.6 million years ago, and finally, those beautiful Acheulean hand axes at 1.76 million years ago. Actually, making that symmetrical Acheulean hand axe required holding a clear mental template in the mind first. That's a massive cognitive leap forward for our ancestor, Homo erectus.
And this naturally brings us to a truly fascinating concept known as the cooking hypothesis, which was proposed by biologist Richard Wrangham. See, when Homo erectus mastered the systematic use of fire, it wasn't just to stay warm. Cooking breaks down tough plant fibers and proteins. This meant our ancestors' bodies suddenly expended far less energy digesting their meals. According to this hypothesis, that freed up massive amounts of metabolic energy that was literally redirected to grow the modern human brain, which today consumes about 20% of our body's energy. Fire literally changed our biology. Moving into Section 2, Fire, Art, and Neanderthals. This is an era defined by a huge leap in human cognition and our encounters with other highly intelligent human species.
Our capacity for art and complex culture, it absolutely wasn't an overnight switch. Archaeologists call this gradual shift behavioral modernity. For a long time, researchers thought this was some sudden human revolution, but incredible discoveries like the 75,000-year-old geometric ochre engravings and perforated shell beads found at Blombos Cave in South Africa completely proved this was a gradual, brilliant explosion of symbolic thought, and it started long before humans ever even reached Europe.
And as modern humans eventually expanded across the globe, they left behind a staggering genetic legacy, which was uncovered by Nobel laureate Svante Pääbo. Get this, thanks to ancient interbreeding, most non-African humans today still carry about 1% to 2% Neanderthal DNA. Our ancestors didn't just replace Neanderthals, they mingled with them. And that ancient genetic legacy is actively at work in you today, shaping aspects of our modern immune systems, our skin, and even our hair. That takes us to Section 3, the Mesolithic climate pivot, a dramatic Middle Stone Age period where shrinking ice sheets forced humanity into a massive, world-altering adaptation. So, as the last ice age finally draws to a close, the world warms up, sea levels rise, and those giant mammoths, they completely vanish. Human survival suddenly required incredible adaptability, triggering what archaeologists Kent Flannery called the broad spectrum revolution. With the massive big game gone from the open steppes, humans rapidly shifted to hunting smaller, elusive forest game, and they massively ramped up the reliance on fishing and coastal resources. To conquer this warmer, heavily forested world, humans innovated brilliantly. They created microliths, these tiny, geometrically shaped stone blades that were meant to be glued together into composite tools. They perfected bows and arrows for hunting in dense brush. They started navigating rivers in dugout canoes, like the famous 8,200-year-old Pesse canoe found in the Netherlands. And honestly, the best part? They forged humanity's very first interspecies partnership by domesticating the dog. It was a bond that gave them hunting companions, early warning systems, and loyal friends. Which brings us to Section 4, the Neolithic farming paradox, a period of agricultural transformation that actually contains a pretty shocking historical twist.
So, the domestication of plants was actually largely unconscious. It's like a giant biological accident. In the wild, wheat has a brittle stem, called a rachis, which naturally shatters to spread its seeds. But every now and then, a mutant plant would pop up with a tough stem that didn't shatter. When early humans harvested wild wheat with their sickles, the brittle ones dropped their seeds on the ground and were lost. But those tough, mutant seeds, they were easily collected. By simply repeatedly harvesting and replanting those specific mutant seeds over generations, early farmers accidentally domesticated wheat, making it entirely dependent on human intervention just to survive.
Now, here is the massive historical paradox. You'd probably assume farming made us instantly healthier, right? Well, actually, wrong. Despite being the literal foundation of civilization, the initial switch to farming caused human health to absolutely plummet. Early farmers were actually shorter than their hunter-gatherer ancestors. They suffered from rampant cavities because of their starch-heavy diets, and living in dense, crowded villages right next to their domesticated livestock introduced terrible zoonotic diseases like smallpox and tuberculosis. It was a massive, massive trade-off for population growth.
But despite those pretty severe health trade-offs, this agricultural revolution was so undeniably powerful for boosting population density that it didn't just happen in one place. It happened entirely independently across multiple different continents. The Fertile Crescent domesticated wheat and barley. China independently domesticated rice and millet. Mesoamerica engineered maize, beans, and squash, while the Andes brought us potatoes and quinoa. It is just a truly awe-inspiring global coincidence. Different people, different plants, executing the exact same brilliant pivot to farming.
Finally, we hit Section 5, Monuments, Cities, and Society. How this settled lifestyle fundamentally reorganized human interactions, sparking inequality, massive architecture, and the very first cities.
This is where our understanding of history gets completely flipped on its head. Take Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, this awe-inspiring monument with massive carved limestone pillars dating back 11,600 years. Here is the wild part. It was built by hunter-gatherers, well before agriculture was fully established. This flipped the script for researchers like Klaus Schmidt, suggesting that the urgent need to feed massive groups of religious worshippers gathering at these sites might have actually birthed the push for agriculture, and not the other way around.
And as that agricultural surplus just exploded, it paved the way for incredibly complex early settlements like Çatalhöyük, which is also in Turkey. This was a thriving Neolithic mega-village of up to 8,000 residents. But here's the kicker. They didn't have streets. The mud brick homes were so densely packed together that thousands of residents literally navigated the city by walking across the roofs, dropping down into their homes through trapdoors and ladders. It's an unbelievable snapshot of early, incredibly dense human community building.
Bringing this all together, the big takeaway here is that we are essentially Stone Age bodies navigating a modern world. We carry within us brains and deeply ingrained behavioral instincts shaped by that ancient hunting and gathering way of life. Every fundamental human capacity, our art, our tool use, our deep social bonds, was forged over millions of years out on the savanna and deep in the Ice Age forests. Our biological hardware is quite literally an ancient legacy.
So I'm going to leave you with this one final, provocative thought to chew on. If this ancient legacy, from our dietary needs to our social instincts to even our Neanderthal DNA, is still intimately woven into our very being today, how will these deep-rooted survival instincts influence humanity's next great era? Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into the Stone Age. I really hope you walk away with a richer understanding of how our distant past is quite literally alive in you right now. Keep exploring, and I'll see you next time.